Mr. Dalton, a billionaire known for his brilliance in business but absent warmth at home, sat in silence, watching his 6-year-old daughter Lily from his office window. She sat quietly in the middle of their vast, colorful garden, surrounded by flowers, fountains, and everything money could buy, except a voice. Lily was born nonverbal. Dozens of therapists had tried everything, and yet, not a single word had ever passed her lips. The house was filled with silence, not just from Lily, but from the weight of heartbreak no one could fix. One afternoon, as Mr. Dalton was being driven back from a board meeting, his car slowed near the garden wall. He noticed something unusual: 3 boys, likely no older than 10, kicking a worn-out soccer ball just outside his property line. They were laughing, shouting, chasing the ball like their lives depended on it. Their clothes were old, their shoes mismatched, but their joy was pure. Then he noticed Lily, standing at the edge of the garden, quietly watching them. The next day, they came again. This time, they kicked the ball a little too far, and it rolled through the open gate. Lily picked it up. One of the boys, cautious but friendly, approached and gestured for the ball. Lily didn't speak, but she smiled, and tossed it back. For the first time in weeks, Mr. Dalton saw her smile. His heart stirred. He told his driver to slow down the next time they passed. Each day, he watched from a distance as the boys slowly included Lily in their games. It was harmless, he thought. Let them play. What he didn't realize yet was that this simple moment, the kindness of 3 poor boys and 1 curious little girl, was about to change everything. Day after day, Mr. Dalton found himself drawn to the window overlooking the garden. What began as mere curiosity had become something deeper, a quiet hope. The 3 boys, Jaden, the gentle leader, Malik, the joker with a heart of gold, and Carlos, the shy one with bright eyes, returned every afternoon. And every time, they waved to Lily like old friends. There was no fear in their approach, no pity in their eyes. Just pure, playful kindness. They never stepped beyond the garden wall without her invitation, but slowly, Lily started to meet them there. Jaden would show her silly hand signals for words like kick or run. Malik would sing goofy little rhymes while tapping rhythms on the fence. Carlos would bring chalk and draw happy faces on the stones, coaxing Lily to add her own. She didn't speak, but her laughter echoed louder each day. She clapped. She mimicked. She even hummed along to their off-key songs. One late afternoon, as the sun painted the sky gold, Lily held a toy flower one of the boys had made from grass and leaves. Malik asked, "Pretty, right?" and Lily, to their shock, whispered, almost inaudibly, "Pretty." The boys froze. Then erupted into cheers, hugging each other, jumping up and down. Carlos ran in a circle shouting, "She talked. She talked." Tears welled up in Mr. Dalton's eyes as he stood hidden behind the glass. In their innocence and warmth, these boys had done what a dozen specialists couldn't. They didn't push her. They didn't label her. They simply saw her. And in being seen, Lily found her voice, or at least the courage to begin searching for it. The sun was dipping below the horizon, casting warm orange hues across the garden. Mr. Dalton, standing at his usual spot behind the tall glass doors, watched the familiar scene, Lily with her new friends. But this evening felt different. The boys were playing gently, taking turns rolling the ball to Lily, clapping every time she touched it. There was something in her eyes, focus, determination. Then, it happened. The ball rolled toward her and stopped just short. Lily looked at Jaden, then at the ball. She opened her mouth, hesitated, and then, clear as day, said, "Ball, please." "Mr. Dalton staggered backward as if the wind had been knocked out of him. His daughter, his silent, gentle Lily, had spoken. Not a whisper. Not a hum. Words. Real, complete words. He didn't wait. Without thinking, he rushed through the doors, past the hedges, into the grass where the children stood frozen, Lily smiling shyly in the center. The boys turned to him, wide-eyed, nervous. They knew whose house this was. Maybe they thought they were in trouble. Jaden stepped in front of the others protectively. But Mr. Dalton didn't shout. He didn't scold. He dropped to his knees in front of them, his voice trembling, his eyes full of tears. "Thank you," he said, choking on the words. "You gave me something no doctor ever could. You gave my daughter her voice." The boys glanced at each other, confused, then Malik offered a small grin. "She gave it to herself, sir. We just listened." And in that moment, a billionaire and 3 poor boys stood in the fading light, bound by something priceless. A shared miracle born not of wealth or status, but of patience, joy, and human connection. The very next day, Mr. Dalton did something he hadn't done in years. He opened his doors. Not for a gala or a business meeting, but for 3 boys and their families. The boys arrived hesitantly, dressed in their cleanest clothes, holding the hands of their mothers and fathers. They stepped into the grand estate with wide eyes, unsure why they had been summoned. Mr. Dalton greeted them personally. No butlers, no staff, just him, holding Lily's hand. He introduced her with pride, as if they were meeting her for the first time all over again. Lily waved and whispered each boy's name. The parents, overwhelmed, could barely hold back tears. Over dinner, Mr. Dalton listened, not as a billionaire, but as a man. He heard about the broken jobs, the overdue bills, the long bus rides, the schools with leaking roofs and no books. He didn't interrupt. He didn't offer solutions. He just listened. Then, quietly, he began to act. Within weeks, each family received anonymous relief, debts erased, rent paid, food delivered. But the biggest surprise came later, the unveiling of a brand new community center in the heart of their neighborhood. A place with classrooms, play areas, therapy rooms, and after-school programs, all funded by Mr. Dalton. And at the front entrance, engraved in bronze, were the words, "Lily's voice." Because everyone deserves to be heard, the plaque read. Jaden, Malik, and Carlos became ambassadors of the center, helping other kids find their voice the way they had helped Lily find hers. And their families? No longer invisible. They were part of something bigger, something beautiful, proof that when one act of kindness meets an open heart, it can change not just lives, but generations. A year later, the once empty lot in the heart of the neighborhood was alive with color, laughter, and hope. The grand opening of Lily's voice had drawn a crowd. Families, teachers, volunteers, and local reporters all gathered to witness something special. On a small stage under a white tent, decorated with sunflowers and hand-drawn art from neighborhood kids, Lily stood holding a microphone. She was taller now, more confident, but still clutched the mic with a nervous grip. In the front row, Jaden, Malik, and Carlos beamed up at her, giving her thumbs-ups and silly faces to make her smile. Mr. Dalton stood behind her, hands folded, eyes shining. The crowd quieted. Lily looked out at the sea of faces. Her lips trembled. Then, with a deep breath, she spoke clearly, her voice soft but sure. "Thank you, for giving me my voice." The crowd exploded in applause. The boys jumped up and down, cheering wildly. Parents hugged their children. Volunteers clapped through tears. And Mr. Dalton, once a man who thought he could solve every problem with a check, simply wiped his eyes and smiled. Because in that moment, he realized the truth. The most valuable gift he had ever received didn't come from wealth, but from the kindness of 3 boys with nothing to give but their time, their hearts, and their friendship. And that was everything. As Lily stepped off the stage, she ran to the boys and wrapped them in a hug. The 4 of them stood there, symbols of what happens when love meets opportunity, when someone chooses to see, and someone dares to believe. It wasn't just Lily who had found her voice. A whole community had.